Vitas Gerulaitis, the 40-year-old tennis star, arrives at his friend's house in Southampton, New York, to spend the weekend. He's the same man who once declared with his famous smile, "Nobody beats Vitas Gerulaitis 17 times in a row." That night of September 17, 1994, he retires early to the guest cottage by the pool. The heater runs silently in the basement, keeping the water at perfect temperature. Too perfect. The next day, Vitas doesn't appear for breakfast. By afternoon, his friends are worried. When they finally manage to get in, they find one of Tennessee's most charismatic figures unconscious in bed. There are no signs of violence, no intruders, no traces of visible poison. The forensic report is conclusive. Between 72 and 77% of his blood was saturated with carbon monoxide. The cause: a defective propane heater that had leaked lethal gases into the air conditioning system. The perfect killer. Invisible, odorless, relentless. It is death, it is life. It has dethroned kings, sown wonders. Conspiracy and science, crime and salvation. Echo of shadows, flash of light. This is poison, cure or curse, where the mortal and the miraculous merge in a single vial. How can something as simple as breathing become a death sentence? Today we explore history's most silent killer, carbon monoxide, responsible for more poisoning deaths than any other substance in the world. Paris, 1776. French chemist Joseph de Lassonne experiments with combustion when he notices something strange. Mice he places near burning charcoal die without apparent explanation. He officially discovers what he will call bad air, carbon monoxide. A molecule so simple it seems harmless, one carbon atom bound to one oxygen. But that simplicity is deceptive. Carbon monoxide has 200 times greater affinity for hemoglobin than oxygen. When you breathe it, your red blood cells prefer it over vital oxygen, creating carboxyhemoglobin, a molecule that can no longer transport oxygen. The symptoms are treacherous: headache, dizziness, fatigue, nausea. The same ones you might feel with a common cold. By the time you realize it's CO poisoning, it may be too late. Manchester, England, 1850. The Industrial Revolution transforms cities into deadly carbon monoxide traps. Victorian doctors begin to notice a disturbing pattern: entire families found dead in their beds during winter months. A 5-member family in Whitechapel, found in perfect state of rest, as if they had died while sleeping. Only a poorly ventilated coal stove and the stale air of the room. By 1870, carbon monoxide had become the leading cause of accidental death in British homes. The rich could afford better ventilation systems. The poor died in silence. Germany, 1940. Heinrich Himmler seeks more efficient methods for mass extermination. The answer comes from laboratories: carbon monoxide. The first gas chambers used pure CO or diesel engine exhaust gases. In Chelmno, Poland, modified trucks redirected exhaust gases into sealed compartments. It was industrialized genocide: efficient, silent, systematic. Its effectiveness as a weapon depended precisely on its everyday nature. It was the normal byproduct of any combustion, making it nearly impossible to trace its intentional use. New York, 1963. Sylvia Plath, the renowned 30-year-old poetess, faces the deepest depression of her life. One February morning, she seals the kitchen doors with wet towels, opens the gas oven valve, and lies down on the floor. Carbon monoxide from gas ovens had become the most common suicide method in the United States and Europe, accessible, relatively silent, and capable of disguising itself as a domestic accident. In London, during the 1950s, 50% of all suicides were committed with CO-rich domestic gas. Psychologists detected a disturbing pattern. Carbon monoxide eliminated the barrier of physical pain that deterred other methods. It was like falling asleep, never to wake up again. The problem reached such magnitude that, in 1958, the British government began replacing domestic gas with natural gas, methane, which is less toxic. The consequence was immediate. Gas suicides decreased drastically. However, CO found other paths to its victims: cars in closed garages, portable generators, braziers in unventilated rooms. It became the silent confidant of those who found no hope. Its omnipresent nature in industrialized society transformed it into a constant temptation for tormented minds. Salem, Massachusetts, 1692. Abigail Williams and Betty Paris begin convulsing uncontrollably. Their words break. They describe dancing shadows, figures no one else sees. The hysteria spreads, leading to the infamous witch trials. What the Puritans didn't understand was that those symptoms could have an invisible origin: carbon monoxide. For centuries, families have fled haunted houses, terrorized by voices no one else heard and shadows that seemed to move of their own will. The truth was colder: gas infiltrating through blocked chimneys and defective stoves. In 1921, Detective William Wilmer investigated a London dwelling that had expelled 3 consecutive families due to apparitions until he discovered the cause: a blocked chimney leaking carbon monoxide for years. Chronic CO poisoning produces visual and auditory hallucinations, paranoia, sensation of invisible presences. Exactly what generations had attributed to ghosts. Between 1920 and 1980, neurologist Dr. Gordon Stein documented more than 50 cases of paranormal activity that revealed the truth: deadly gas, not magic. Toronto, Canada, 1995. Diana Smith wakes up at 3 a.m. to a shrill sound from her new carbon monoxide detector. Her husband says it's a false alarm, but Diana calls the fire department. They confirm dangerous CO levels throughout the house. The water heater had a leak that could have killed the entire family that night. Detectors, developed in the 1980s, became the first real defense against the invisible killer. Their adoption was slow because, unlike smoke, CO gives no natural warning signs. Johns Hopkins Hospital, Baltimore, 2018. Researchers discover something extraordinary. In controlled and extremely small doses, carbon monoxide acts as a cellular signaling molecule. It helps regulate blood pressure, reduces inflammation, protects against ischemic damage. In minimal concentrations, it protects the heart during heart attacks, reduces rejection in transplants, and has potent anti-inflammatory properties. Medicine is developing exogenous CO therapies, controlled administration of carbon monoxide to treat specific conditions. It's the ultimate paradox. The substance that kills hundreds of thousands can, in the right doses, save lives. Carbon monoxide teaches us that dose makes the difference between life and death. It's a reminder that we live surrounded by invisible forces that can protect us or destroy us. Every time you light a stove or start a car, you release this ancestral compound. The difference between safety and tragedy lies in ventilation, maintenance, and precaution. From the laboratories of Paris in 1776 to today's medical research, carbon monoxide has been a silent witness to our evolution as a species. It has killed us by accident, we have used it as a weapon, and now we learn to turn it into medicine. It's the perfect story of how humanity transforms the mortal into miraculous, the dangerous into curative, the invisible into visible. What would happen if a simple bite could change the course of history, or your destiny? In the next episode we explore the silent killers of the forest, poisonous mushrooms. From the court of Rome, where an Amanita phallords sealed the fate of Emperor Claudius, to modern cases that terrorize entire families, we'll discover how these delicate creatures disguised as delicacies are capable of killing without making noise, and why the line between life and death can be barely a millimeter of fungal cap. If you liked this episode, subscribe and share it. Leave your comment, because, in the end, the history of poisons is also the history of our relationship with forces we cannot see, but that shape every breath we take. Poison, Cure or Curse is a production by Francisco Martinez. Thank you for joining us on this toxic journey through the shadows of invisible chemistry. And remember, the air you breathe can be your greatest ally, or your most silent enemy. Until to the next poison.